Out of that group, what do you think makes that leader a leader? That person stand out, that person to be the one to lead?
Well, it's kind of the same traits and stuff that I said before. Like, you have to be able to communicate to everybody on your team, but everybody on your team can't be like you. You have to be able to, I guess, somewhat of being a chameleon and being able to go into all different environments and communicate with different people, and also them respect you enough that they follow you and you're able to be a leader.
Respect for that person. Okay. What key components or requirements of your position do you feel your characteristics particularly speak to me, and what makes you good at what you do?
That, like I said, saying a lot of the same stuff from before, that I'm able to communicate to different people, that people respect me, not necessarily looking at the outside of me, not looking at because I'm black, not looking because I have dreads, not looking at as I have tattoos. They respect me for what I've achieved, what I've done, and I know what I'm talking about. A lot of the stuff that I talk about, I've experienced it, so it's not necessarily BS. And people respect that, and I treat everybody the same. I don't necessarily, just because I have achieved all these things, take myself up acting like I'm better than somebody else. I respect everybody equally. I think that's what makes me effective.
Okay. And you mentioned the traits that you have. You mentioned, organization, balance, being able to set a peaceful atmosphere, good judgment, be able to say no, eliminate distractions. How would you describe those traits? Do you feel you've learned them over time, or
I've definitely learned them. I was not blessed. Like, I feel as a lot of individuals in different cultures, they are raised with organization, they're raised with discipline, they're raised with structure. They have both parents inside the house. I did not just was born with organization. It was something I still work on an everyday basis. That necessarily for me is necessary key. To have all those traits, you have to, decide in your mind and look at yourself and understand that, I have a weakness. This is a weakness that I've developed over the habits over the years from my background or how I was raised or whatever the case may be. And my challenge is just conquering my weaknesses. And a lot of times it is being organized and being disciplined, and even though you may be an entrepreneur and have the drive and ambition, you still need to lay down a good foundation.
So is it fair to say that drive and ambition don't necessarily equal success?
No, drive and ambition does not equal success. You have to necessarily be organized. It gets you to a point of success, but you can only go so far with drive and ambition. It only takes you so far. You have to be able to, it gets to a level after you get to the drive and ambition, you made it for yourself. You only made it to a certain point. You also have to bring other people with that are like-minded, have the same vision, goals, be able to lead them so y'all can go into a greater direction.
Now, what about characteristics that you mentioned, motivated, dedicated, a hard worker? Do you feel that those were learned, or were those characteristics that you
Those were probably characteristics that was born in me. I've always wanted to work. I've always have a drive and ambition. I really can't truly answer that question, because my grandfather is necessarily, he was always pushing me to work, always pushing me to better myself. So I was somewhat trained, but at the same time, I still had the drive and ambition to keep going. So he didn't force me to do it, but what I'm saying, he gave me the opportunity. So that was kind of, it was God-given. God gave me the ability to do what I do.
Okay.
It was a gift.
What role, if any, do your personal morals and values play in your position as a leader?
Everything. Your personal life, or how you carry yourself personally, affects you as a leader. You can't together your personal life, you're going to take them same habits and them same things that you do as far as personal things, you're going to take into your business. So it's like everything a part of your life, you have to become whatever it is that you truly want to be, like in and out. Like, you know what I'm saying? You become that.
So this question isn't necessarily on here, but I just want to ask, you said that your morals and values, they're everything. They're, tied right into your business. If home life is messed up, work life is messed up. When you look in the news and you see the individuals who have embezzled money, or you see the religious leaders who have led a group suicide or a massive killing, technically those are leaders. What's the difference between you and them?
They necessarily are in a position where they can walk the walk, and they can put on, like an actor, they put on the show. I was starting to write a book about fantasy and reality. So they're able to create a fantasy to make everybody believe that it's a true reality. So they're not true to themselves, so they get themselves involved in things that bring satisfaction because they're not getting satisfaction in what they do. Anything you do that is your calling, is your goal, is something that you're born to do in this life. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to necessarily embezzle money because money is necessarily not important. You know what I'm saying? The value of what they were sought after, they were sought after money and not sought after purpose. And that's the difference. I seek after purpose instead of seeking after money.
Do you feel you perform your position do you feel you could perform what you do successfully without the characteristics you listed as being perfect?
No.
So you don't think you could be one of those individuals who put on the act, or?
Well, they still, the people who still put on the act, they still have to have somewhat of a discipline. They still have to be motivated. You know what I'm saying? They're just motivated in different areas. Their motivation comes from money because they get a quick response or a quick result for what they're doing. So they're still motivated. They're still entrepreneurial, whatever the case may be. They just have a different twist on, you know what I'm saying, accomplishing their goals. Myself is necessarily, I make a significant large amount of money and I invest it into individuals, and that's a high-risk business by itself, but my position necessarily is more important to me. I value that more than necessarily the money behind it.
So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but in asking the question, what role do your morals and values play? You said everything. How were your morals and values formed? Were they through life experience? Were they things that were instilled in you?
A lot of my morals and values came from my background, from my mother. She was a very religious woman. But a lot of it came from life experiences. As a young child, I was very observant. I didn't talk a lot. I was shy. And I necessarily just watched everything. And before I spoke, I necessarily would just watch my environment and see what was going on and make decisions for myself. About like 4 years ago, I went through a fire and I lost everything. And that let me know that, I'm saying, at any period of time of life, things can be taken away from you. And necessarily, the most valuable thing in life before money, before anything else is time. That's the only thing in life you cannot get back.
How would you measure your success?
I measure my success, by the people I affect, the people I bless, the people that necessarily receive something from me being on this earth. Open up the doors for opportunities for people who normally wouldn't get the opportunity. Just for them to necessarily say to themselves, at least somebody gave me opportunity, or somebody believed in me, or instilled some type of values in me that I thought or had fear that I wasn't able to get it myself.
If you could contribute success to one thing, what would it be?
God.
And if you could, just give me a little bit of history of, doesn't have to be real in depth, but just how you came to found this organization, pretty much the idea, the dream, the achievement.
Okay. Like I said, about 4 years ago, I went through a fire. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I started my first job, I think, at the age of 6, when I worked for my grandfather's janitorial company. Then after that, I went to college. I didn't like college, so I started working at a developmental disability agency. And working at the agency, I wanted to be the supervisor, so I became the supervisor. I wanted to be the program coordinator, so I became the program coordinator. Then I wanted to own my own agency, and I did that. And after I owned my own agency, I was also an artist at the same time, so I necessarily did tattoos on the side. And then after that, I wanted to own my tattoo shop, so I did that. Then after I owned my own tattoo shop, what did I do? I went into rental properties, and then I started buying properties. And after I started buying properties, and then I seen this building, and it took over my life at that point. Because the vision at that point came much bigger than just me. And then I obtained the building, and then me as a venture capitalist, I necessarily wanted to have a place where I can put all my businesses under one roof. And then I did that as well. And now I'm in the process of starting a magazine called Labeled. I started a modeling agency called Hype Models. I'm the owner of the Tri-State Sharks, it's an arena football team. And it just went on and on from there. We took our tattoo shop and we turned it into a design collective where we do a lot of custom design from graphics to websites to tattooing. I just recently opened up a tattoo shop at the Harley-Davidson store in Kings Island Mall, out there near Kings Island, at the Potter Keg location. I have a wonderful team now. I would say I have a couple group homes. I still work with my agency with the kids with developmental disabilities. I have a boxing gym, fitness center, things like that. So I had to have a strong team to make all that stuff happen.
So from the age of 6 to where you are now, obviously the trend shows the motivation, dedication, and vision that you talked about earlier. As far as you said you wanted to be the supervisor, so you became the supervisor. You wanted to coordinate, so you did. You wanted to own your own agency, so you did. What would you say, just thinking of your leadership ability, if you could have a motto, or if you have a motto, or if you have words that you live by, what motivates you to be the leader that you are?
Don't live by fear. And don't take no for an answer. Fear is not an option. You live this life one time. Yes, you have obstacles. Yes, you have things that's thrown in front of you. You cannot let that stop you. There's nothing that you can't do.
Okay. That's all I need.
All right.
Thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
your time. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
And like I said, the email I send you, it'll send you pretty much just all the information about my research, when it'll be finished, if you would like a copy of it, when that will be available, how to get it, all that good stuff. Just to let you know ahead of time, your name will be mentioned as far as all of your responses, also your organization, unless you tell me otherwise.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So like I said, that will all be in that email that I sent you, and my contact information as well.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.